po si Tatay Doring, dati kong tribal chieftain, nakatira ng sitio Kalakwasan. Kasalukuyan po ngayon nagbabantay sa aming mga kagubatan dahil nandiyan po nanggagaling yung aming pangkabuhayan. At kami naman po ngayon kasalukuyan naman po namin kami mga katutubong Batap, nakatira sa mga kagubatan. Yung kaugali namin po ay hindi kami permanente, hindi palipat-lipat. At yan po kami gumaganap sa aming mga kagubatan, nagre-ritual. Yan po namin ginaganap ang aming mga kasayahan, kagubatan, gaya ng yung paglalambay. Isa lang po sa amin na ginaganap namin yung pagre-ritual. At siyempre, ganun din po siya mga almasika na bago po kami mangungulikta ng mga almasika, may ginagawa rin po kaming pagre-ritual bilang paggalang sa mga diwata na kasi ang mga lugar na tinutubuan ng almasika, hindi natin alam na mayroon palang mga diwata. Kaya yun po ay bali sinasagdaan namin yung mga puno ng almasika para lang kumakulikta namin yung mga
My name is Jezebel Garibay and I work for Center for Sustainability. We're an environmental non-government organization based in Palawan, Philippines. Our mission is to contribute to a sustainable development in the province by implementing key projects that are related to livelihood, conservation, and education. Our work comes from communities and to communities, incorporating local knowledge and making that as a backbone for our projects. We're currently working in Cleopatra's Needle. It's one of the oldest and most pristine forests in the province of Palawan, the last frontier of the Philippines. Aside from its beauty, aside from its richness, it's also home to the indigenous community of the Batap people. Our organization has learned a lot from them, from their experiences safeguarding this forest since time immemorial. And so with that, we really want to bring in projects that are respectful not only of the environment, but also of the tradition and the rituals that are woven into the forest of Cleopatra's Needle.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Indigenous Wisdom for the Earth series. We have a very special guest with us today. His name is Robert Arangorin, and he is from the Center for Sustainability in the Philippines. Their main goal is to conserve and secure the Quezon Forest through its declaration as a protected area. And the project they're doing is just so amazing. I'm so eager to get started. I'm so grateful that you've come on to talk. Let me read a little bit about him. He is the leader of operations for the Center of Sustainability and has been an integral part of all the achievements from restoration to Indigenous patrolling to lobbying and much more. So welcome, Robert. Please feel free to introduce yourself and tell us a little more about the Center for Sustainability.
Yeah, so thank you. And firstly, thank you for having me here. So it's an honor. And so my name is Robert Arangorin, and I currently leading the operation for Center for Sustainability PH. So CS is a woman-led youth environmental nonprofit from Palawan Islands, known as the last frontier of the Philippines. So our works from communities for communities and goes to communities. So the mission of our organization is to help conserve the last 3% remaining of pristine forest of the Philippines through land conservation, citizen science, and reforestation. So we work in Cleopatra's Needle critical habitat. It's one of the biggest critical habitat in the Philippines. It's home for like the last 200 remaining indigenous people, the Batap. And then at the moment, we're working on the southern part of the island in Quezon, where the Tagbanua tribe live right now.
That's wonderful. Yes, I was reading a little bit about the project to help kind of like put it on the map for the network who's going to be watching this. It's in the Philippines. It's in the southern part of Palawan. And there are so many endangered and critically threatened species that live there. I saw on your notes on your website that the Philippines is one of the 36 known global hotspots for biodiversity, with over 70% of the world's plant and animal species. Oh my gosh. So that, first off, just taking that in is so mind-boggling, and it must be so amazing. Could you share a little bit what it's like to just walk into a forest that's in there and all the animals?
So yeah, sure. So like what I said earlier, like Philippines is like Palawan Island, where we are right now, is like the last frontier of the Philippines, but the whole country is one of the 7 mega-diverse countries in the whole world. So it means like what you said, 70 to 80% of plants and animals can be found here in the Philippines, and can only be found here in the Philippines, particularly here in Palawan. So there's a lot of like critical and like animals and plants that can only be found, nothing else in the world, also in the Philippines, but like only here in Palawan Island. So it's really like every day we'll find different kind of animals. Even you're in the town or like in the city proper, you can find like amazing plants and animals. So it's like a very like an honor to live in this kind of like island, like considered as my home.
Now, for those who are aware and really appreciate it around them, it's so rich and so beautiful. And I'd like to know a little bit about the indigenous tribes, because I saw some of the things on your website, and it's probably better if you share it instead of me trying to repeat what I saw.
Yeah. So like Philippines is like consists of 7,600 plus island. Is one of it is Palawan, and Palawan is have like 7 different indigenous group. So I'm just gonna namely 2 of it where we working with. So it's the Batap. So Batap community is where live in Cleopatra's Needle critical habitat, where our first project, the biggest project that our organization done in the past 7 years. So it's Batap is like only 200 people remaining in the community, like remaining. So like they are considered as one of the fastest like disappearing indigenous people in the whole world. And on the other side, like in the Kinsad project area, there's a Tagbanua tribe where I also belong. Like my mother's side is also from Tagbanua tribe. So it's really an honor to work with this area to help the community where my mothers came from, to help to protect their project, like their area where they considered home, like where like they live since immemorial.
Could you share a little bit about what some of the culture is like? There's a video I'll be adding into our website, but it's just so beautiful, and I'd like to make sure everyone's aware of that.
So like I'm gonna say first with the Batap tribe. So they are like more of like from African descent. So like their features is like more of an African descent. So like they have a curly hair, like dark skin, and so like they're small people, and they mainly like the mainly source of their food is from hunting and gathering and from slash and burn. So yeah, and so at the moment they're still practicing this kind of way of life. And for the Tagbanua tribe, they considered as the first inhabitant of the Philippines. So they kindly like finally found in the southern part and the most northern tip of the Palawan Island. And yeah, and there's still a lot of like the population of the Tagbanua tribe are still big compared to the Batap community.
I know I saw in the video they were talking about the forest has like spirits there where they when they go in to like gather wood or anything, that they do certain rituals or ceremony to give gratitude before they take or harvest anything? Is that
Yeah. So like same with the other indigenous people that we can find in the other parts of the world, like the Tagbanua tribe with the Batap tribe. Before like we enter the forest to gather our food, like in my experience, in my own culture, the Tagbanua tribe, before we enter in the specific area, we know that there's something in there that we can like not the same as the people, like the spirits. We believe that like trees or mountains have spirits that live on that place. So, like before we gather anything, we just say like, oh, we're just gonna get something in this area, and this is for our food or like for livelihood or something. So like something like a little saying that, oh, we're gonna pass in this area if we're gonna go somewhere. Just like a little thing that like we make sure that we we respect the like the spirits of the forest, the spirits of the mountains. And yeah, and every occasions there's a celebration, like a traditional celebration. For Tagbanwa tribe, we called it Pagdiwata. So it's like there's like a feast for 1 or 2 days, and yeah, just like dancing with traditional dance. And there's a we called it yeah, it's a very traditional and very feisty activity.
Yeah, no, it's such an honor for me to get to talk to different people around the world, and most of the ones that I've spoken to have that relationship and that reciprocity with the earth, and it's so beautiful. And I wish that's something everyone did, and we treated the earth more as the gift in our home and our mother, and not a resource to use up, because it's not a resource in that way. And I think I'd like to, if you could share a little bit. You said that there's less than 200 and the numbers are going down. What is going on? What is the situation that's causing this?
So yeah, when our organization first visit the local communities, the Batap tribe, we did like the research, and we found out that yeah, like I said, there's only 200 remaining individuals. And one of the reason is like the intermarriage. So like they marriage with other indigenous people, or like people from outside the community that not indigenous. So like in the long term, they disappearing because of the intermarriage. And at the same time, they like the forest area, their home is like started to to get destroyed by different activities. And it's like before, like in the research and the history, like indigenous people, particularly the Batak, live near the ocean, in the beaches. But because of the flux of the tourists, like the people that migrated to the island, they started to move in the forest, their home, their area getting smaller and smaller. And I think one of the reasons why they started also, like the numbers are decreasing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I read that there was quite a few challenges that are going on in that area. I'll name a few, but you can certainly go into details about them. There's mining going on, poaching, private ownership of water resources, and land conversion.
Yeah, so like Philippines is like rich when it comes to mine, like deposits of different kinds of so like the people love to mine the Palawan. So yeah, so like the area of the Batap is like before, it's there's a lot of logging concessions happening here in the area in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So like the area is like really destroyed by this illegal activity, like the illegal activities, like the and then like the land conservation. Because of the growth of the population, like the people started to to convert the forest into agricultural area. And the illegal activities, like the poaching of animals. And like the indigenous people are fine, like they like the food, the source of their food is from from the wild. But like they only get the enough food that they need, unlike the people, the outsider people that they gathered like too much, that it started to, to decrease the numbers of the wildlife in the area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's their livelihood, that's their food source, that's what they rely on. So yeah, I can certainly understand that that is a challenge. If we could talk a little bit about what it is the Center of Sustainability is doing. I read something about a very interesting place called Cleopatra's Needle and how that's related to this new area where you're trying to establish it as protected land.
Yeah, so Cleopatra's Needle critical habitat. So it's like I said, it's like a 41,000 plus hectares of critical habitat, like the protected areas that we did. So it's like the center of our work before our organization established, before the organization established. So we work with community, these big areas. We did a lot of, during the 5 years before it declared as critical habitat, we did a lot of activities like ecotourism, livelihood project, reforestation in one of their K biodiversity, K protected species, like it's called Almasika. And then we did the enforcement project. So because of this experience, and our mission is to help to preserve the remaining 3% of the forest area in the Philippines. And since of our experience in Cleopatra's Needle critical habitat, we did amazing work of declaring this area as critical habitat. So because of our mission, we wanted to do it with another area. That's why we're moving to the southern part of Palawan, which is in Kunsad.
Okay. Okay. So I guess it's wonderful you had so much success with the Cleopatra's Needle and you're trying to recreate that in this area. And so this is, I guess, virgin forest or old growth forest protection that you're working to do. Is it, you're working with the communities?
All the works that we do, so it's like with the tree process, so community organizing, scientific research, and political lobbying. So the first step is like community organizing. We visit the area, we strengthened our relationship with the community. That's why we did a lot of activities like what I said earlier, the research, livelihood project, the ecotourism, the reforestation. We did that with the community organizing to strengthen our relationship, to make sure that, because like they're not gonna give their piece of land for us to protect it. So like we need to strengthen our relationship. We need to make sure that they understand what we're doing and that it's for them. And then secondly, with the scientific research, we involve the community with the scientific research. So we did the biodiversity assessment, where we trained the local communities to be able to help us to know what the flora and fauna that can be found in the area. Like if there's a scientist that coming to the area, I guess they don't need to call for the local scientists. They can go directly to the local communities, the indigenous people, because they already have the knowledge, they already have the experience that we give to them during the research that we did. So yeah, and then political lobbying, because of the relationship with our community and the result of all of the research that we did with the community and giving it the result to the politician. It helps to make sure that, it's really have the result of why it need to protect the area. So yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I can imagine they probably have so many plants that, if someone else just walked in there, they wouldn't even see them or notice them, and they can tell exactly that plant grows at this season and this plant does that. And yeah, that's beautiful. It's so wonderful to hear that you're working with the local communities in that way. And it's making a difference for them.
Yeah, that's why I said earlier that our works is comes from community, is for the communities, and goes to the community. So like all of the backbone of our works is the community, like all the decisions making, all the projects that we wanted to bring to the community. It should be like have proper papers, like the community are fine doing that project in their area, and if they don't want to do it, then it's fine, we're not gonna do it. It's like they are the best decision, like their decision is the biggest thing that we need to consider before doing anything, to respect their community, to respect their their traditions, way of living in the area.
Yes, I'm looking for it on the pamphlet that she had sent over to me, but I absolutely love it's like you go and ask for consent and permission before taking any action from the people who live there. And that's so important. That's kind of rare in today's world that actually happens. So it's beautiful that you're doing that. And
yeah, because like like there's a lot of environmental conservation here in the Philippines. Like I'm gonna talk about here in the Philippines. It's like there's like the NGOs have a lot of bad reputation when it comes to like with the outside world. Like they saying that conservations like go in the area, not respect the the traditions, just like don't get the permission. But like it difference from like what we wanted to share with the audiences, or like the people that like maybe like hearing this conversation, that the organization like we always get the permissions from the community, because we believe that it's important to respect their traditions, to respect like all the people, especially the indigenous people, like because it's their area. They've been living there since immemorial, and they have the right to decide what they wanted to do in their area.
absolutely, yes, yes. Again, so grateful that you do that. I know with we do reforestation, so we're not doing the old growth protection, but kind of with the reforestation, we do plant around old growth areas to give them that kind of a buffer. So we also work with communities, and there are other groups out there who just think that they know what's best and they come in there and do something, but that's not the case. It's the people who live there and know the land that's best and know what actually grows. And it's I won't go into too much of the that I've seen in other places, but it's so important, and I'm so grateful that you do that. Should have asked you how to pronounce this one, but the I want to say Almasika tree, but I know that's wrong.
So it's Almasiga. So it's Almasiga tree, Almasiga. So it's one of the key livelihood species of the area of the Katutubong Batap. So Almasiga, or Agates philippinensis, it's one of the oldest tree that can be found only here in Palawan and other part of Malaysia, I think in the Indonesia. But the species of this Almasigas can only be found here in Palawan. So it's one of the key livelihood of the Katutubo. So they collected the resin of this tree and then sell it. So it's like one of the main livelihood. But during the research, like there's a lot of bad things happen to the trees. So over harvesting, illegal logging, and such things. So that's why our organization started the Saving the Almasiga Tree projects, with the goal of producing 15 or like 10,000 seedlings of Almasiga trees and reforest it in the project. So we started this project back in 2017 and ended in 2019, but we grow 15,000 plus seedlings and then reforest it in the area with the help of the communities.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Yeah, see, some of the numbers on there.
Yeah, and it's also like the first in the Philippines, like because like there's other project that like they collected, but like the wildlings, because it's really hard. So it's like 60 to 70 meters high. So what we did is we collected the seeds by the help of the community, and then we planted it in the nursery, and then we like wait for a year before we forest it in the area.
Oh. That's good. It sounds like it's having success and it's going well. Is there anything, that you would like to share that you would just want the people in our network who will be watching this to know? What, anything from your heart or what you've seen or your experiences there that is really important for people to have in their awareness?
Yeah, so like born and raised here in Palawan, like considered as the last frontier of the Philippines. Like when I was a kid, like forest is like my, my playing area. But as I grow up and like witnessing the changes happening in my surroundings, like the lush forest is now like, diminishing, like decreasing the numbers. The oceans are getting, dirtier than before. It's sudden. That's why. And then when I studied forestry in the university, it gives me the idea of like doing like conservation work and working with Center for Sustainability, like give me the hope that, that the small things that we're doing have a great impact, not only here in Palawan, that my home, but like the whole entire world. And I hope that the people watching this or like listening us, it's not easy. It's easy to start. Like we can start in a small way, and those small ways can create a big impact. And I hope that people start to, to more listen to not only conservationists but researcher and scientists, that the world that we're living before is not the same of right now. Like we need to do something even in a small way, and everyone have the responsibility to, to save our world.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes. I couldn't agree more with that. I can see it's a passion for you. It's not just it's a job you're doing. This is a passion and part of who you are.
Yeah. Like my team always saying that, like working in conservation, it's really hard. The salary are really low. Like there's a lot of challenges, but I still believe that even though, like what you said, it's already a passion. Like, all of us have a family that we supported, and the salary that we get is not enough. But because of the passions that we have, we still continue to work to what we believe is really important, and the passions that we have is what we keep us moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of times, it's very important everyone does something local to help the trees in their own area. But I also think it's so important to help those of us who don't live in the Philippines understand the sheer amount of biodiversity that's there and how valuable that is and how essential it is to protect and keep the habitat for, especially at the rates it's decreased. And hopefully it's stabilized now. I'm not sure if it's stabilized there, but 3% is very low compared to the 95% it was before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, are there any ways that anyone watching, if they say, oh my gosh, I care about this forest, how can I get involved? What can I do to help the Center for Sustainability?
Yeah, so like social media is really important at the moment right now. So you can visit our social media, like you can find us at Center for Sustainability page and Twitter, in Instagram, Facebook, and you can share anything like our social media shared to, to reach it to the wider audiences, and like just sharing the content that we have. It's a really help. And then you can also donate if you have any amount is a big help with the organization to continue our works to help and preserve the last remaining forest of the Philippines.
Yes, yeah. And I help people understand how much, the rainforest in those areas relates to the weather that's happening, in the north. I just, so grateful that you come on and that you're doing the work you're doing, because it matters. What you're doing affects our lives. And we should also be very grateful for that and say, how can we preserve this? What can we do? And just really connect to those people in the forest there. Just, yeah, very beautiful. So is there any other thing that you wanted to share before we wrap things up? Or
I just want to say thank you to you to give me the opportunities to share what my organization, what my team are doing here in Palawan. And I hope that it helped for the people that listening to, to start help us to conserve our world, and hopefully, we can live in the area where like people and environment are living in a harmonious way.
yes, beautifully said. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to keeping track with what your project's doing and more. And thank you so much for coming on and for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.